Rip City Mornings.
A guy who never experiences discomfort enough to not show up on this program. His name is Aaron Fentress. Welcome back to the big show. Good morning, Fentress. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Can't get any better. Got a lot of stuff. Got a lot of stuff to dive into. Well, I tell you what. What could be better is the Blazers could be better. They kind of stink right now. What's going on? Is this just injuries or is there bad vibes? What's going on?
Yeah, they've been a little annoying lately, I think.
That's a good way to put it. It's actually very accurate. They've been a very annoying team to watch lately.
You know, I could accept losses to good teams, but the two losses to OKC, have I talked to you since those losses?
I don't believe we've talked, no.
Those two were perplexing. I was at the first one because I was the night Damian broke Drexler's record. So those two were bad. At least get one. They lost those two. And then, you know, Minnesota, Toronto, two losing teams, again, at least split those. You should win all four of those. I think this team was 4 games off where they should be. Well, they're 19 and 20, so they should be 23 and 16. And I don't think that's unrealistic. I do think the injuries are taking their toll. Right now, I mean, since Winslow went down, they're down. There's 6, 7, 8 guys off the bench. Peyton, Winslow, and this year. Yeah. And so after that, you know, I know people love Shaden, but Shaden, I wrote an article that's on Oregon Live right now about they're taking their time with Shaden because Shaden, the 19-year-old who, you know, for every great dunk he has, he's making, you know, 3 or 4 miscues on offense and defense that cost them, you know, in some fashion. So that's why they're taking their time with him. So you don't really have much depth with those 3 out. So that does matter. You see some nights where the starter, you know, Dame's playing 40, 42 minutes, trying to grind out victory. So depth has been an issue. But, you know, then you had the 3 losses before Toronto where the fourth quarter was awful. So do you attribute that to just fatigue? And, you know, they played well to the fourth quarter, and then they just averaged 18 points per game, shooting like, you know, 30%, 20 on threes. But then against Toronto, they played poorly through 3 games and played well in the fourth, but it wasn't enough. So there's just a lot of different things going on. Dame's not playing very well, had 7 turnovers. They had 24 turnovers against Toronto. That's been a problem all season. He had 7 of them. So there's just a lot of little things. But I do, you know, I try to give them the benefit of the doubt because of the injuries and because they've played a huge amount of road games. I think they played 9 more road games than home games, I believe, and that's going to balance out this month. I think it's 10 more actually, because this month, the rest of the month, they played 10 of the next 11 at home, and so at the end of that stretch, I think they'll be right on the button, even home and road. Also, you know, a lot of teams have gone through ups and downs. It's been crazy. The Suns went from 1st to like 8th. You know, they lost Booker. Pelicans just lost. What's his face? Zion for a few weeks.
The guy they lose every single year. Yeah, Zion's his name.
Right. The Warriors. Well, they were like number 1, and all of a sudden they lost, and now they're probably going to tumble a little bit. Although they've been holding pretty well lately. But you know, the Kings were hot for a minute, and they lost. I looked at like teams 3 through 9 had lost a combined 19 in a row. It was weird. So it's a crazy West. And the Blazers started out 9-3. Then they went. They lost 8 of 11. Then they went 6-2, and then now they've lost 8 of 11 or whatever it is. So it's their turn now to make that swing. And if they don't win 7 of the next 11, I think at least, then it's time to just call them what they are, and they'll be, you know, fortunate to get into the play-in. And if they can escape the play-in, great. If not, then they'll be done. But yeah, they have to show something these next 10 of 11 at home. They have to show something, or I'm going to write them off.
Well, I mean, and here's the thing where you mentioned it, and you're right. When you look at those teams, right, the Pelicans kind of fell off. Well, Zion's been hurt. You look at the Suns, well, Booker got hurt. Chris Paul is, you know, he's obviously showing signs of age. The Clippers had their little funk. Well, it's because Paul George got hurt. The Blazers are in a bit of a funk. Dame's perfectly healthy. I think that's maybe the biggest cause for concern, because I thought, Fentress, you mentioned the Oklahoma City games. I thought, you know, Dame didn't seem all that comfortable about the, passing Clyde, all the messages and all the stuff. He seemed a little bit uncomfortable, hoping to maybe get past that, stop pushing a little too much, get past it, and maybe things would settle down. But they don't seem to have settled down. He's really been struggling, especially from beyond the arc. Is it just this is just what happens to shooters at certain points in the season, or is there more cause for concern?
Oh, yeah. He's just, if you look at any Damian Lillard season, he has a stretch where he can't hit anything. I mean, that pretty much happens with almost anybody. And it's funny, you said exactly what Craig Bernbach just said in our podcast last night that we recorded. He's like, you're talking about the missing Peyton Williams and Nasir. These other teams are missing the superstars. And I agree with him. However, missing 6, 7, 8 is a lot.
That's true.
And it's a lot, and the fatigue issue, and if your bench gives you 3 points, like it did against Toronto, and the other night I can't remember, I think it might have been Indiana. I think the bench scoring was 46-13 or something. Like at some point that equates to losing a star. And also the Blazers lost Dame for a while, and one of the reasons why I give them the benefit of the doubt, and I want to wait until the end of this month, is that at home when Damian starts and finishes a game, they're 9-2. Now, someone on Twitter got on me about it. They're like, don't do that. That's a meaningless start. How's it meaningless? Like, they're 9-6 at home. The 4 to 6 they lost. 2, Dame didn't play at all. And 2, he left in the third quarter. So I'm just saying, I'm just trying to, you know me. People will say, Aaron's always negative. Aaron's always pessimistic. Aaron's a hater. Blah, blah. I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. Injuries, a ton of road games. Dame missed a chunk of time for a while. Now their bench has been a mess, but Peyton's supposed to play tomorrow. He's probable. He was probable for Sunday too, so who knows?
We'll see.
Maybe they're going to get Winslow back after that, and then this year, they got a bunch of games at home. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's see what happens. But yeah, they're going to win tomorrow. Orlando just played last night and got smoked by Sacramento. So if they lose tomorrow, then we'll just cancel the season. I think we just shut it down, and people have to take prorated salaries. I mean, if they lose to Orlando tomorrow, does Damian deserve $40 million? I don't know. But then after that, you got Cleveland, you got Dallas twice. The homestand is not easy, right? You got Philly, the Lakers are playing better. I can't remember who else they got, but it's kind of Atlanta is solid. They got Toronto again. So yeah. I'm going to reserve complete judgment until the end of this month.
All right, you freaked me out for just a second. I know you just woke up. Again, appreciate you coming on the show. They play Orlando tonight. Fentress.
What I said?
You said they play Orlando tomorrow. You said it twice.
Yeah.
You freaked me out. And I'm like, have we been wrong this entire show promoting the Blazer game on this station tonight?
I was still in Monday mode.
It gets dark early. I get it. But no, by the way, before that, 2023, new year, new Fentress, Captain Puppy Dogs and Rainbows. I like it. I like positive Fentress. That's my guy.
I'm getting soft in my old age.
All right, let's real quick, and then I have some other stuff I want to talk to you about. Aaron Fentress on the big show from the Oregonian, covers the Blazers. Let's talk about GP2, because far be it from me, Fentress, to ever question anybody on injuries and what they feel and how the decision that goes into whether they can play or they can't. Look, I am a middle-aged, very soft radio host. Okay, I'm soft, but and while this may just be bad luck, it may have been just recovery time. It doesn't really look good when you got a guy just missing a significant amount of time for an injury that didn't look like it was going to be missed. And you mentioned he's the sixth man off the bench, maybe after Jeremy Grant, the second biggest acquisition of the Blazers this offseason, and then goes from probable to doubt or to questionable to doubtful to out, all in a matter of a couple of hours. I'm not saying it's anything, but it doesn't look good. You know what I mean?
Oh, no. I mean, I think it doesn't look good to the average fan who in this society and program to whine and complain and conjure up conspiracy theories. I think, they wanted to be extremely cautious with the core because they didn't want a situation where he went out and played and he had been experiencing soreness following workouts. And if he went out and played an NBA game, would he be experiencing extreme enough soreness to where he had to be shut down again? And so they just wanted to just wait until he was right. And so did it take longer than maybe usually does. I'm not a complete expert on this. Damian Lillard had it in January, the surgery, same surgery. He could have played come late March, I believe, if everything was completely 100%. But we'll never really know if he was 100% by March because they shut him down anyway. So, Peyton's lingered longer, and it can, everyone's body is different. And maybe it just was what it was. The ankle is just a fluke thing. People twist their ankle. Like, it's bad luck. It just...
Yeah.
It sucks as a fan because you were waiting for him to play and he came out and in 13 minutes you got 7 points, 4 assists, a couple steals. Like, oh my God. If you do the math on that, if he played 35 minutes, that'd be 25 points, 12 assists, and 8
That's
steals,
all-star right there.
Yeah, this guy's MVP. Let's get him out there. And then, the ankle thing. So it's annoying, but you can't let your annoyance turn into, conspiracy theories or he's soft or some people, I think he's just trying to collect the money and, like that. Like, this guy's whole life has been as a grinder. Mm-hmm. And the idea that here's the thing. The idea, I'm not sure who's going to win in a fight, but if Gary Payton came to Portland and took the money and doesn't want to play, he and Damian are going to brawl.
Yeah.
Damian's going to score up. So you're wasting my, so I don't believe that in a second. I think it's driving him nuts that he can't play. I think no one's more disappointed than him. And once he gets right, hopefully he'll get right. He's going to show what he can do. So I'm not going to go there with him.
Aaron Fentress of the Oregonian joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. Obviously, your primary coverage is the Blazers, but you and I spent many a Saturday afternoon, evening, late into the night at Autzen Stadium covering Oregon football. And a lot of those games with LaMichael James, who's now into the College Football Hall of Fame. Well-deserved, unbelievable honor. And, Fentress, I remember watching those games and like on The Office, it was like, hey, how do you know you're in the good old days when you're right in the middle of them? And kind of looking back as an Oregon fan, like, man, those were the good old days when you could just count on LaMichael James to go for like $180 at bare minimum. But I know we all do this, like, greatest of all time, greatest running back in Oregon history. It's hard to deny. Like, there are guys that I liked. There are, like, obviously, Jonathan Stewart was a better pro, but, like, in Oregon, in uniform, running back, I think it starts and ends with LaMichael James in terms of the top of that list. Are you with me on that one?
I look at this the same way I look at the whole Dame greatest player thing. There's so many different ways to come at it. I think if we're talking about the sheer best, like if they're in the same era, who starts? Jonathan Stewart starts over LaMichael James because Jonathan Stewart gives you the size of Royce Freeman, and he and LaMichael James ran the exact same 40 at the combine. That kid starts. Now, if you factor in greatest career, because Stewart had injuries issues. He only had one great year. And had he come back for 08, he would have been a Heisman candidate. As a matter of fact, they were going to build a Heisman candidate campaign around him. But he was smart, and he left to go get paid as 15th pick, I think, 13th, I can't remember. So there's a difference between greatest and best.
Yes.
Right?
I agree.
Your greatness includes all your accomplishments. Longevity is a factor, I think. So I think if you're talking about the greatest running back, then yes. Now, Royce ended up with more yards than LaMichael, but funny story. When he broke the record, right before he broke the record, I'll never forget, LaMichael was adamant to point out to me, he was texting me about this, just remember, he had more years. He had one more year to do it. And he's right. Like, Freeman had 4 full years. LaMichael had 3. So, yards per game, LaMichael was just better. And obviously, Heisman candidate, 12-0, Rose Bowl, right?
Doak Walker.
So, yeah.
Doak Walker, I think he won.
No. Did he win the Doak? Yeah.
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff going on back then. It was a crazy time. Just, it was like, hey, trophies and awards were just coming left and right, Fentress. Who can remember?
Oh, hey, 09 to 2014, the glory years. So I would say, for me, Stewart, and there were other guys too. Like, you can't tell me if you took any of the other Ontario Smith or Reuben Drone, Morris, several other backs, and you put them in the blur offense, no huddle, what they were trying to do and create, they would have rushed for 5,000 yards too. But they didn't. LaMichael did. He was the face of that era, 9, 10, 11. And so, yes, for me, the greatest running back in the history of the program, but I'm still would say Stewart the most talented.
Yeah, it's just the Stewart, when the 2007, Washington game 2007, right? Great, that's like the high water mark. Obviously, injuries and a lot of things. But that 07 at Washington with Jonathan Stewart and Dennis Dixon and the blur offense at its talk about a high water mark for offensive football in the state of Oregon.
Oh yeah, I mean that was a high school team going to play Pee Wee, and then the Sun Bowl. Yeah, with Justin Roper. Didn't Stewart have 250 against the poor South Florida Bulls? Jim Levin. Yeah, just ran all over them. The offensive line dominated that game too. But it's again, Stewart was just a freak of nature. That's why he was a middle of the first round pick and had a really good career. But had it not been for the nagging injuries, he'd have probably rushed for over 10,000. I think he rushed for 8 something, right? So Stewart for me most talented, and then LaMichael the greatest. Aaron Fentress of the Oregonian joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. Final question, and we saved it for last because I said I can't let Fentress go off about the Bears. He'll hijack the entire segment. But producer Brendan had a conspiracy theory. I want to get your thoughts. Did Lovie Smith, former Bears coach, know he was getting fired? And in turn, knowing that he was probably going to get fired by the Houston Texans, screwed that team and essentially gifted the number 1 overall pick to his former team, the Bears. Conspiracy theory. So some people are trying to say that the reason he got fired is because he won. He went for it, yeah. So all too often in the NFL, when you know you're going to be bad and you hire a veteran coach who's on the end of his run, but he's going to run your program like an adult. You hire that guy to come in and just go through the crappy season, and then you're going to move off of him. So I'd be shocked if they really had committed to keeping him. I don't know what kind of contract he had. Because if they were committed to him, he would have had at least a 3, if not 4 or 5 year deal, and then now they have to buy him out if they're going to fire him. So my hunch would be that he knew he was going to be fired anyway. Do I think that's why he won? I don't know. But how do you? I mean, I guess you can manipulate things as a coach, but how do you do that to a point where it's not obvious and the players don't respect you? The players aren't going to quit. Those players don't care about if you have the 1 or 2 pick. Yeah. A lot of them might not even be there. They're playing for a job somewhere else next year. You're on a team that's going to get the number 1 pick. Like the Bears are going to probably have 20 to 25 new faces next year. So one guy out there, and not actually it wasn't there. So at least 20, 25 guys. They don't care what the Bears pick is. They don't care about anything, but they're just trying to play to get another contract. So it's hard to make guys, just roll over. So I don't know. I haven't even read that much about it. I kind of fear he'd get fired because that's what happens in the NFL a lot. Like in Tampa Bay, he got fired because they thought they might lose what's his face, Cutter, the OC, because they thought Cutter would be better for Jameis. So they stunk, got Jameis, and then fired Lovie, right? Yeah. So that's happened to him before. So anyway, long story short, I think Lovie is not a tanking guy. I don't think Lovie's a guy who's going to try to lose. He's going to tell his guys to try to win because that's what you do. And 1, 2, really, if you fired him over that, you're just a garbage franchise anyway. Well, that goes without saying. The Texans are a total garbage franchise. Just take a look back. But I mean, I will tell you this: if I know I'm going to get fired and I think it's bogus, and I know if I win this game, I'm gonna screw them out of the number 1 pick. Yeah, I'm going for 2. Try to win. Yep, I'm up till 5 a.m. every night watching film. I'm breaking stuff down. I'm putting in trick plays. I'm doing whatever I can. Aaron Fentress, you can follow him on Twitter at Aaron J. Fentress. You can read his stuff in the Oregonian. You can hear him from time to time on this fine radio show. Fentress, hey, thanks so much, buddy. Always love talking to you. Have a terrific week. We'll talk to you soon.